First two books are Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. If you have not heard of Cassandra Clare or her books, she has written The Infernal Devices, The Mortal Instruments, and these two books I read are in her Dark Artifices series, and I've only read the first two books because the third book is coming out in about 2 years, I believe, because she has another series that's coming out within the next 2 years. If you have not read the Shadowhunter books, like The Mortal Instruments and The Infernal Devices, it's going to be quite difficult to understand this, so I would not recommend starting off by reading this. It is a commitment though. These books tend to be hefty at like 800 pages, but they're worth it. They're mildly wordy with her descriptions and stuff, which some people might not like. I tend to kind of skim over those and gloss over those and go with the less refined details, and I end up really liking the plot. Her endings end up really getting me and really surprising me, and I always love that. I love how Cassandra Clare can always do that. So these are pretty good reads. I give them both 5 out of 5 stars, but I think I might give them like a 4.5, but from what I can see from Goodreads, they're 5 out of 5, so they definitely did deserve pretty good ratings. I don't give that many books 5 out of 5 stars, but this one was definitely a 5 out of 5. The next book is Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, and this is a thriller, and I was not very taken by this. I don't really like thrillers, first of all. I find them to be terribly anticlimactic because the endings end up being so simple, and I just wasn't a fan of this ending either. Okay, so this book is about this girl named Rachel. She's drunk, divorced. Unlike a lot of people, Rachel didn't annoy me, but the ending did. And Rachel just does a lot of silly things, and so do a lot of the characters. And the ending, although the ending didn't surprise me, I was still not really a fan of the ending, so it just really fell short, and it just felt too anticlimactic for a thriller. I want a big surprise ending that takes my head and shakes it, and I'm like, whoa. And Girl on the Train didn't really do that. Even though my Goodreads rating is 4 out of 5, looking back, I'm probably going to change it to a 3 out of 5. So yeah, the next book is a reread, and it is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I have read that book like 200 million times. I don't know if I should even give a summary. I feel like Harry Potter is one of those things where it's best going into it not knowing much. Like, that's the reason I really fell in love with it, even though it took me a couple tries. It really changed my life, so I'm not going to explain it because it's best knowing nothing going into the series. The next book is The Upside of Unrequited, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It really fell short on a lot of spectrums. I feel like I might have deserved like a 4, maybe a 3.5 now looking at it, because I've read these books within the last month. And what I didn't like about these are, here's the thing, for a book to really be good for me, it cannot be unbelievably predictable. And this book was so predictable. I knew what was going to happen. I could feel it coming. And I was sad. Like, I want something that makes me think a little, makes me a little shocked. And this book was just not shocking, not surprising. And I don't know. I liked the plot. The plot ideas were good. I can relate to the main character a lot. So that was nice. But the predictability is a big issue for me. If I can see the ending coming, and if I could write the ending myself, then I don't see the point in reading it. The next book is The Savage Song and its sequel, Art Duet. This is the Monsters of Verity duology. I really liked the first book. Wasn't as much of a fan of the second book, but I still gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, but I should give it like a 3 out of 5. I'm like contemplating this because I usually rate it right after, or else I'm gonna forget what I don't like and like. Anyways, The Savage Song is this post-apocalyptic book which takes place in this city where monsters are born from massacres and deaths and stuff, which is really a new concept, which is why I was so impressed by this book. And so there's 2 characters we follow, August and Kate. August is a monster, you end up finding out, but like kind of hard to tell from the first part of the book. And then there's Kate, who's the daughter of, basically the city is divided into 2 parts, and August is the son, more like adopted son, of the ruler of one half of the city, and Kate is the daughter of the ruler of the other half of the city. And I really, really, really like their friendship. It's really, really, really nice. Our Dark Duet just took a different turn, and basically there's a really big period between Our Dark Duet and The Savage Song, and the characters really changed, and they were not just acting like out of character, but they really changed. And I feel like if the author wanted to change these characters so much, I feel like she should have showed their transitions, because they acted so different than book 1, and then ending just, I wasn't so blown away by it. Like, I didn't completely expect it, but like at the same time I was like, okay, it's whatever. Like, I just didn't feel anything. I didn't feel very strongly about the ending, so I'm pretty sure I gave this a 4 out of 5, or 3.5, but it rounds up to a 4. The next book is I'm Malala, and this is a story about a girl who lives in Pakistan, I believe, and people are I've seen the comments people have written about this, about how she's just propaganda and stuff, and I did DNF it, even though I gave it a 4 out of 5, because I think it's a really good book. Problem is that I feel like the problem is with the co-writer and with the fact that my problem with this book was that there was just way too much history in it. I wanted to hear the girl Malala's story, but there was just so much history in it. I was getting bored, and I was like, I'm not doing this, and I ended up DNFing it. So I think it's a good book, but I just didn't like the history aspect of it. Maybe it was essential for this author, and maybe some people liked the history aspect of it. Me, personally, no. I read the entire selection series, books 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I liked the first book, and then because I saw it going somewhere, and then the rest of the series just went freaking downhill. Okay, for me, I think I gave the rest of the series like 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. The first book had a lot of potential. It wasn't like crazy out there because I could see everything coming. I saw the ending coming, and basically I've ranted about this. I have my whole review on the selection series. I'm gonna link that below with all my issues, otherwise I'm gonna rant about this again. There's one major issue I had with this, and also I think the first 3 books could have been 1 book, and I don't think they needed to have an extra 2 books, although I didn't mind, but they had the same issues with the last 2 books as I had with the first 3. So the next series of books I have read are the Delirium trilogy. I really liked the first book. Like, I actually give it a 5 out of 5 stars, which is, I know people didn't think it was that good, but I thought it was really good, and so I give it a 5 out of 5. If you don't know what Delirium is about, I'm gonna have a video coming up about it, so look out for that. Basically, this girl lives in this world where love is a disease, and you have a surgery to stop yourself, except our main character may or may not just fall in love. And the second 2 books follow it, and I just feel like the second 2 books just went on a totally different path and kind of became predictable. I feel like, on a second note, I rated the first book 5 out of 5, second book 4 out of 5, and the last book 4 out of 5, but I feel like I should have rated the last book 3 out of 5 because of how goddamn predictable it was. Like, being predictable is like the worst thing you can do in my eyes. I just can't stand that. The next book is Glass Sword, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, though looking at it, I'm pretty sure I gave it a 3.5, but I think I should have given it like a 3 because I thought the middle was boring while... Oh wait, I can't say anything because if you haven't read Red Queen, I'm spoiling it, but I know a lot of people don't like Red Queen, but I personally really liked it. I have not been able to get my hands on the last goddamn book in the series. Really, really, really annoying. But anyways, I'm not going to talk much about this book because I'm going to do a full trilogy review once I get my hands on the last book in the series. The next book, which is another book I really, really liked, and that was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I read books by Rainbow Rowell before book. I read Eleanor and Park, and I really liked it when I read it, except now I'm realizing there was a lot of racist things in there, but I feel like Rainbow Rowell didn't try to be racist. I don't know how I feel about Eleanor and Park anymore. Anyways, Carry On is supposed to be Rainbow Rowell's take on the Harry Potter world, and I really, really, really liked it. Like, I can't believe how much I liked it. Like, there's good romance and there's good chemistry. Oh my god. You don't need to read Harry Potter to like this, to be honest. You don't need to like Harry Potter to like this. You don't need to read Harry Potter to read this. The world, yeah, some aspects of it are a little hard to get into, but once you do get into it, you're like, oh my god, I love this, and it's amazing. I'm not going to give any more detail. It was just, this book was really good, going into it knowing so little. The next book is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and this is a book about this girl. She experiences 2 shootings. One is her childhood friend when she was a child, like I think 8, and then one's a recent one with a childhood friend. It's really sad. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I could have probably given it less, but I did really like it. But it's basically, it talks about the struggles the girl goes through. She goes to a primarily white high school, but she lives in a community with a lot of African Americans, and she's going between these 2 worlds. She's seeing how different they are, her friends are, she's seeing who her real friends are. It's really, I feel like you just have to read the book. I don't want to say anymore. You really, like, for me, I feel like the best experience with books is when you go in not knowing that much, and this book was just, it actually really blew me away. She's a debut author. It really shows you a different perspective on different takes of these kinds of things, and doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, but it's like, some books aren't meant to have a happy ending, and personally I didn't feel like this one needed one. I feel like the ending was just great. The next book I read is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This is another thriller, and I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars, but I feel like I probably should have rated it less. Nah, I think I'm happy with it. I had a couple issues with it, and there was just a bunch bunch of loose ends that were a little confusing. Ending, yes, I was surprised by, which is why it went up from like a 3 to a 4, 3 to a 3.5-ish. So that was nice. The ending was good in my opinion. There was quite a few loose ends I was confused about. The protagonist I wasn't the biggest fan of. She seemed so... It was really hard to relate and understand the protagonist. It is a thriller though. I did not know it was a thriller, so I had no idea what to expect going into it. I know some people will like this thriller, and I did like that it wasn't excessively long or anything, but where it fell short was the amount of loose ends. I was confused. The fact that I didn't like many of the characters. I felt like some of the characters were kind of 2D flat. So the next book is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and I did only rate this a 4 out of 5, but I feel like I should be rating it a 5 out of 5. I have to go back and change some of my ratings on these, okay? So this is about this girl. She, on the day her father dies, she meets this guy, and she just meets him, and they have this really weird conversation. She finds out he's a neurosurgeon, and she remembers him, but then her life moves on. She opens a flower shop. She's really happy. She meets this woman who wants to help her with it. I don't want to give any more details, but I will tell you there are triggers for sexual assault and rape, and I think this is a really important book. It really is. The way it's brought in, I didn't know if I was gonna like this, but here's the thing. When people see other people being abused, they're like, oh my god, they should leave their husband or wife, and this book shows you that it's not that simple. It's not that easy. There's more to it, and we can judge, but you don't know unless it's happening to you. You don't feel the same way, and you can't understand how other people feel unless it's happening to you. And yeah, it was depressing, but I think it was good. The next book is This Is Where It Ends, and I cannot say the author's last name, and I'm pretty sure I gave it a 3 out of 5. I feel like this was a really good idea, but the backstory wasn't well enough explained. The ending was sad. It's about a school shooting, and we're actively going through the perspectives of the people who are at the school, people who are trying to help, and there's some flashbacks and stuff, and we get the perspective of the sister of the guy who's doing the shooting, the ex-girlfriend, the sister's girlfriend. There's like a lot of perspectives. The sister's girlfriend's brother. There's a lot of perspectives, and first of all, the fact there's so many perspectives got really confusing at first. I know some people like it better than others. I just felt like first of all, the multiple perspectives weren't properly executed in my opinion. Also, I felt like the backstory of the person who was committing the shooting wasn't well developed, or maybe, I don't know if developed is the right word. I feel like it was well explained, and it should have been, his backstory should have been explained differently. We can tell the guy's angry, but it seems there's only one core reason, and that's not how it is usually. There's a build-up of things, and the author didn't do that part very well in my opinion. So yeah, the very last book is Always and Forever, Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy, which I was okay with the first book and the second book. Like, I'm pretty sure I gave them like a 3 or 4 out of 5 stars. This one I liked so much better than the other two. It wasn't a 5-star book, but sure, the ending was predictable as hell, but like I really liked the couple, so I was like, okay, here's my issue in every one of the books in these series. Lara Jean is so babyish and immature in my eyes. Like, she acts like such a child, and I do not understand why anyone would be with someone who acts that childish. Even her man acts pretty childish, and I'm like, I've never understood how she gets away with acting so childish. Like, I act more like less of a child than her, and do you see me with a man? Like, no, just saying. I mean, of course it is a book, but I'm at a loss for her childishness. So that's it for this June wrap up. It is so long. This is longer than my Harry Potter book tag, and I really hope I can cut this down by at least 5 minutes with all my ums and pauses and screw ups. I hope you like this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Anyways, I really hope you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, have a great day.